Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of United for a Healthy Stoughton. My name is Stephanie Patton, and I'm the prevention coordinator for the town of Stoughton. And today we have a really exciting episode for you. We're going to talk about a program called Hidden in Plain Sight. And I have with me today Leah Serafin from Easton Wings of Hope. And so in just a second, I'm going to ask Leah to introduce herself and tell you a little bit about herself. So today we're going to really talk about a program that both Easton and Stoughton have been sharing with our coalition work. And so you're going to hear about a program and a strategy that we use for the Oasis Coalition that normally we would be able to do in person, but right now we can't. So we're going to bring this to you virtually. So Leah, why don't you tell us who you are, and then we will talk a little bit about the Hidden in Plain Sight.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So my name is Leah Serafin. I am the coordinator for Easton Wings of Hope. And Easton Wings of Hope is a youth substance use prevention coalition similar to Stoughton Oasis, just out of Easton. And Easton Wings of Hope has been around for about 5 years now.
Great, thank you. So the Hidden in Plain Sight program is something that both Easton and Stoughton have been using as a way to provide a fun way to interact with parents and talk about adolescent substance use in a way that's sort of different and engaging. And so traditionally, the way that Hidden in Plain Sight works is it's a teenage bedroom, sort of I hesitate to use the word virtual because we're using that so much now to mean like on a screen, but it's intended to be an immersive experience where we would bring a teen bedroom, a mock teen bedroom out into the community, and we would give parents the opportunity to walk through this interactive exhibit, touch things, open drawers, pull back the sheets on the bed, pretend it's their kid's bedroom, and ask questions to the folks who are kind of providing tours of the room, who might be people like Leah and myself, or they might be other members of our coalitions, like our school resource officers and other volunteers. So it's a really fun way to be able to see some things that you might be able to find in a teenager's bedroom. Now, the intention of the exhibit is really to give parents a taste of some of the things that kids are aware of, that teenagers might be aware of, as ways to hide substance use, or maybe not hide it. The reason it's called Hidden in Plain Sight is sometimes teenagers leave these things around, and as adults, we don't recognize them as potential signs that there might be something going on. And so we want to highlight that for parents, but also really spend some time talking about the opportunities that this presents to be able to have conversations with your teenager about things that they are thinking about, the role that substance abuse, alcohol, marijuana, other things might play in an adolescent's life, what they hear about it from their peers. Any opportunity for a conversation is a great opportunity. So Leah's going to share with us some of the places we've hosted this exhibit in the past when we've been able to be in person.
Yeah, thank you. So we try to bring this exhibit really anywhere where there might be a large gathering of adults. And of course, this was pre-COVID when we could all gather. But in the past, we've brought them to parent-teacher nights, both in Easton, and I know Stoughton has also brought them to parent-teacher nights as well. So we'll bring the whole display, we'll set it up in the hallway usually, or in a classroom, and just invite parents to come and kind of explore and ask questions. We've also set it up at community events. So it is for adults. So usually if it's a community event where there might be a lot of children, we'll bring a tent with us as well, just to kind of keep it a little more private, and again, kind of invite the adults in to explore. And we've also had them at the Old Colony Y as well. So we'll use one of our spaces to encourage adults to come into the display there. And I know Stephanie with Oasis has also had it at a flu clinic. So again, really anywhere where there are gatherings of people, where there's opportunities for good conversations, for people to ask questions, that's kind of where we bring this display.
Fantastic. Awesome. So what we're going to do today for the show is we worked with our friends here at Stoughton Media Access, and we filmed both Leah and I taking turns in the setup of the display and talking about some of the kinds of things that you might find there. So we know this isn't quite the same as being able to touch things and being in person. And we didn't want to lose this opportunity to be able to share the exhibit with you. So what you're going to see is actually the combined power of the Easton supplies for this exhibit and the Stoughton supplies for this exhibit. A lot of these supplies were purchased using grant funding through our Drug-Free Communities grants. And in Stoughton, we were able to purchase a number of supplies for our exhibit through the generosity of the Norfolk District Attorney's Office. So I want to give them a shout out. They provided some mini grants for communities to build some of these displays because they felt like they were important educational opportunities. So you're going to get a chance to see both of us giving you tours of different parts of the room. And you're also going to notice that we did this outside. So this was filmed in the pavilion at the Stoughton Y. So try to imagine that it's a bedroom that is not filled with pine needles and has outdoor things in the background. But we know that even in person, the exhibit sometimes requires a little bit of our imagination. So we're going to start out with a short clip where you're going to see me in the display talking about some of the items that you might find if your child was experimenting with alcohol. And so we're going to cue that clip now. So I'm going to talk a little bit about items that might be related to alcohol use or other behaviors linked to maybe social interactions and partying. So I'm going to show you a few of those things. One of the things over here on the nightstand is, so this looks like it could be some sort of a jewelry item. It's actually a pop-up, a little pop-up cup here, a little shot glass, easily concealable. I'm also going to pull some stuff out of this drawer. So, if you find things in your kid's room that feel like they don't belong there, if you're, for example, stray ping pong balls could be an indication that they're using them to play beer pong. Not always. So I think it's really important to remember sometimes there are products in a kid's room that are just in a kid's room. These are little solo cups. They could be used for shot glasses. Maybe your kid is doing something else with them. Maybe you provided them for them to use for some sort of science experiment or some other thing that they were doing. But it's always, if you see something that feels unusual to you for your kid, it's really good to just ask and to have a conversation. Also in this drawer is, in our house, we call these binkies. They're pacifiers. There probably isn't necessarily a reason for a teenager to have one of these, maybe unless they're doing a lot of babysitting. But if a young person was using ecstasy, one of the side effects from ecstasy is it causes like a mouth clamping kind of behavior. And so people will put things in their mouth like pacifiers because it feels good to them if they were using that drug. What else do we have in here? We have some bottle caps, which, probably don't belong in your teenager's drawer if they were not drinking. A bottle opener. There's a lighter in here. So, things that might ask you to, cause you to want to ask your child some questions if you were to find these things in their room. We also have, it's important sometimes to think about the kinds of things you might find in a trash can. So, in this trash can, there are some solo cups. There is a can of an energy drink can. So generally, energy drinks aren't super healthy, but what can happen sometimes is young people will mix the energy drinks with alcohol. It's something that we sometimes see. So again, if your child isn't typically an energy drink drinker, it might be something that would raise some concern. There's also a little bottle here that could have been a nip that had alcohol in it. So, important to sort of, it seems gross, but, maybe to look in the trash if you were having concerns and you had reason to do that.
Okay, great. So our next clip is going to show stashy items, we call them. So these are items that can stash different substances that a teenager might be using, such as marijuana, alcohol, or tobacco. And these will be items that really can just be left right out in the bedroom, and you really wouldn't notice that they were items that might be hiding a substance. So we will cue that up now.
All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about items that you might find around your child's room that can stash either marijuana or alcohol. And they're things that you really wouldn't think would be items that could stash those types of substances. and they're items that really you would walk right by. So I'm going to start over here on the bookshelf. The first thing is this hairbrush right here, and it actually opens up to be a stashable item. It looks like sunscreen lotion, and this is something that teenagers can buy online, and it can also stash, I'm thinking, alcohol. There are other items such as, this looks like a Kleenex box, but it can also stash items. This is also something that could be bought online. This is deodorant. Even if you opened it, it would look like deodorant, but if you open this part, it can also stash different substances. So really, these are all just things, again, that you would walk right by, not even realize that they could be items that your teenager was using to stash other substances in. This is Trident gum. Also can be used to stash items like pills, for example. So this is a marker that we purchased online, and it looks like a Sharpie. It's actually called Stashy. Again, something that could stash different items. So this water bottle just looks like a regular water bottle that you would see in your teenager's bedroom. Also something that they could purchase online, and it actually is a device for stashing different things as well. So really, these are hiding places that you'd really have to go through your teenager's room and think about and kind of look at what are some of the items that possibly could be used as a stashing item instead of just a regular item. The Jif peanut butter, for example, this is another thing that could be purchased online that is a Stashy. This is a Coke can, also something that teenagers could stash different things in. We do have a book here. This is one that we purchased. It's a hollowed out book, but there are also just large books that a teenager could easily just take a knife and kind of cut a hole in the middle of the book, and you really wouldn't know that that was a way that they could stash items as well. So if we walk over to the nightstand right here, there are also some items in here that you might find that could be items that teenagers might stash things in. Again, something that we found and bought online. It looks like a tampon that a teenage girl would use, but it's called booze tube. So it's something that maybe they could bring with them, like to school, for example, or to a party, and you just would have no idea. Other items could include Tic Tacs. So this is something that you would see in a bedroom. It might be normal, but there's also pills in here. So this could be a way that they could hide some pills as well. So those are kind of the main things. There are also anything with a battery component to it. That could be another way to stash marijuana, for example. So we just put a bag in here, and it could definitely store marijuana, and you would have no idea. Over at the desk, we also have a stapler, something that you wouldn't really think could stash anything, but if you open it up to where the staples should be, we do have a bag in there as well that could hide marijuana or pills, for example. And then the same thing with the pencil sharpener, another kind of opportunity for teenagers to hide a bag that might have marijuana in it, for example. So those are just some examples of things that teenagers could use to really stash different items in. But we definitely just encourage you to kind of look through your teenager's bedroom, see what you can find. There are always opportunities for teenagers to hide different substances, and these are just some examples.
This part with the stashy items always gets me. There are so many crazy things that really can be purchased to conceal all sorts of stuff. So we're going to move on, and I am going to next be sharing with you some of the things in the bedroom that are related to vaping or smoking behaviors. So that's what you're going to see in this clip coming up next.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the products that are in this room that might be related to smoking or vaping. So some of the things you might notice over here, there's a pencil bag, and there's a number of devices in this bag. So this is what people refer to as a mod. This is a large vaping device. You probably wouldn't see a lot of kids with these if they're trying to conceal their vaping behavior, but this is the kind of device that young people might use if they were trying to create a lot of vapor, for example. but it's not super concealable. And in this bag, there are also, mixed in among the pens, because it's easy to hide these things. There's some other types of vaping devices. You can see this one almost looks like makeup. This is another type of vaping device, different types of things that you might see. We also in here, we have these rolling papers. These are actually flavored rolling papers, which is another thing that might be attractive to younger people, flavored rolling papers to mask the way things taste. And we also have in this bag, this looks like a flashlight. It's actually a pipe. So you can take it apart and put it back together as a pipe. Over here, we have a few things that are on the nightstand that are also things that are concealable. So we have this watch, and this is actually a grinder. So I don't think it functions as a watch, but it does work to grind, for example, marijuana. There's another grinder here, which might just look like, a small little container that you would keep things in. It's actually a grinder. And I'm going to move over to the desk. So on the desk, actually, we have a couple of other things. So this is the Soren. This is also a vaping device. It's very concealable. If I had it in my hand, you wouldn't see it. I actually sat through a meeting once holding this, palming this, and nobody saw it. It does come apart. It's refillable. This was popular for a while. They're very, they're really nice looking. They feel nice, and they're refillable. So this is something that you might see that you wouldn't necessarily recognize as a vaping product. This is the Juul. So this is what the Juul looks like. When we do this display in real life, a lot of times people walk right by it. It charges in your laptop through a USB cable. It looks like it belongs there. It looks like it's some sort of an antenna or some sort of a portable memory device, but it's actually a Juul. And there are lots of knockoffs to this product that look very similar and work in the same way. And finally over here, we have this mouse, which is actually a scale. And everything that's in this room are things that can be purchased online. So just for parents to be aware of that. It's not like you have to go to a specialty store. These things all came, and this is how we were able to fill in this display by buying stuff online. So this scale works by plugging it into anything where you can plug in a USB cable. It's electronic, and you can use it to weigh various things depending on what you're using it for.
All right, so this final clip from our Hidden in Plain Sight display is going to show some examples of items that might be used to mask or hide odors, such as marijuana or tobacco use.
All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about items that could mask smells. So if your teenager was smoking marijuana, for example, in the house or in the car, there are items that you might find around their room that could indicate that they were trying to mask that smell. So we have a few items here. Febreze is one of them. This is something that you might just have in your house anyways, but if you notice that it ends up in your child's room a lot of the time, that could be an indicator. We also have just some spray right here that your child might be using. So it could just be that your child wanted to use the spray, but it could also be an indicator that they were using substances. So just kind of a good opportunity to have that discussion with them. So in this bottom drawer, we have a few different items that could also indicate that they were trying to mask a smell. So we have some cinnamon candy right here, just something that is a strong smell that maybe they could eat after they were using a substance, for example, like either drinking alcohol or smoking marijuana. We do have a bunch of storage bags right here. This could also be something that teenagers could use if they were using marijuana, and it could be a way that they could hide that as well. We have some incense, another way to mask the smell. We also have this filter, which also includes these dryer sheets. So the filter can be used as a way for teenagers to be able to smoke marijuana in their, or tobacco in their house, and blow it out of the filter, and it would hide the smell. So this is something that is just easily made from a paper towel roll and dryer sheets. So this is something else that you might find in your teenager's room, and would be a good opportunity to kind of have a conversation with them about why they were using that, and just kind of have an open discussion with them about that. So those are the main kind of things that could be used as masking substances, but there are also some other things that you might find around your teenager's room that could just be cause for concern. And one of them could be marijuana leaves. So these are socks, for example, that have marijuana leaves on them. So if you found something like this kind of around their bedroom, for example, that could be an indication that they are using marijuana as well. So all of these items, again, are just great ways to kind of start conversations with your child, and they're a good opportunity to talk to them about the dangers of using these substances and kind of just have open communication with them.
Okay. So all of those clips were examples of items that you might find around your teenager's bedroom that might indicate risky behavior. And we do encourage parents to do searches, of your child's bedroom just to kind of see if you do see anything that might indicate risky behavior. So we wanted to talk a little bit about what you could do if you do find something that you feel is risky. So you know your child and you know what feels right or wrong in their bedroom. So for example, you might find a Solo cup. And I know Steph had talked in her clip about Solo cups possibly indicating a party type behavior, but they could also indicate that your child just prefers Solo cups. And maybe you know that they just prefer to use Solo cups over glass cups, for example. So again, you'll know if you see something in the bedroom that doesn't seem like it belongs there and it doesn't really fit your child's personality or things that they frequently do, that's kind of an indication of maybe a riskier behavior. And it really is just a good time to open up communication with your child and a good opportunity to really just let them know that you're there to support them, to start a conversation, to just kind of go into it with more of a judgment-free attitude rather than making them feel like they're going to be punished. You really just want to make sure that that conversation is open and they feel like you are someone who would listen to them. And it's a good opportunity to ask them questions, maybe about what other teenagers are doing in their classes, or if they've seen substances being used and they maybe have questions about them, or they want to tell you a little bit more about them. So really, when you do find something that just doesn't fit or you feel like it doesn't belong, we definitely encourage you to kind of have those open conversations with your teenager. And I do know that the Oasis website has a lot of great talking points as well for how to talk to your teenager about anything that you might find.
Great. So we have one final clip in the display, and that is showing some of the positive things that might also be hidden in plain sight. So why don't we play that last clip?
So we've been sharing with you a lot of items in this room that might be causes for concern. And of course, we put the display together to highlight some of those things because they might be things that parents don't typically see. But it's really important to us also to remind parents that most kids are making really good and positive, healthy choices. And even in times when kids might be struggling or making some choices that might not be the healthiest choices, often there's still a lot of good that's happening. And sometimes you can just look around their room and see that. So in this room, we also put a couple of things that might be things that you would think about as reasons to tell your child that they're doing a good job, ways to connect with them that are positive. So some of the items that you might see in here also are, for example, the teenager who lives in this bedroom has a musical instrument. So, maybe they are interested in music, maybe they play the ukulele. That's a really positive thing for them to be doing. You notice on the desk, there's a notebook, there's a laptop. This kid is taking their studies seriously. So that's also a place where you can interact really positively with your child. Over here on the bookshelf, we've got a bike helmet. There is also really down low, there's a weight. So this is a teenager who might be doing some really healthy, positive things for their physical health, which is great. There's a trophy here. So this could also be a young person who has done, accomplished something in the community. Maybe your child's involved in community service. Maybe they're helping others. They're being really helpful around the home. There are lots of things that we can think about where we can really be having good, positive, healthy conversations with our kids about behaviors that we want to grow and encourage. And so we want to make sure that people don't leave this virtual bedroom thinking, being freaked out, terrified, that all things are bad. Most of our kids really are making great choices. And as adults, it's also really important for us to find those things that are also hidden in plain sight that are positive.
You all probably thought I was going to play the ukulele in that clip, so sorry to disappoint you. So that is our little tour of Hidden in Plain Sight. And so hopefully parents, you were able to glean some new information out of that. Certainly if people have questions, you can reach out to Leah or myself at our websites. Our email addresses. I think we have a slide here that has all of our contact information on it. Here we go, both for Oasis and Easton Wings of Hope. We both have websites that we really try to keep current and updated, as well as active Facebook pages, which are a great way to really see what's going on with both of these coalitions in our neighboring communities. We are looking forward to a time when we can be able to bring this display back to you in real life, in person. It's really different to be able to do this in person. It's so much fun to be able to interact with parents and people in the community and all of our amazing volunteers who help put this together. And so we're looking forward to a time when it's safe for us to be able to do that. But in the meantime, we wanted to be able to think about creative ways to share this information with you. So also, if people are interested, you should look for both Leah and I are going to put together an interactive version of this that's virtual, where parents can ask us questions and sort of talk to us as we walk through that display. So coming soon. I want to give Leah a chance to have any last remarks here as our time is ending on the show.
Yeah, just thank you guys so much for tuning in. And again, reach out with any questions at all.
Great. Thanks, Leah, for being here with us today. And if people have questions, please reach out, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next episode.